all my beautiful unicorns, and welcome to another series of reed making. So in these series, I am going to be sharing with you what I typically use every single day for reed making, and I think it's going to be so much fun. So we're going to be shopping around my oboe desk, so that will be really fun. So starting off, I like to typically put everything in order of how I'm actually going to be doing my reed making process every single day. I like to have my hair up every time when I have to make reeds because I kind of just don't want my hair to be in my way while making my reeds, and I usually technically leave my eyeglasses on because first of all I can't see and second of all I don't want anything super sharp or let's say for example if you're scraping on your reeds to fly at my eyes. I think safety is number one in my book. So and this is just in case, you don't always have to do this. This is just my personal view, is if you do have eyeglasses like I do, wear them while doing reed making. And if you also have safety goggles, you can also wear those as well. You don't necessarily have to, but it's a great way to kind of just protect your eyes and of course, to making sure you don't get stabbed in the eye. Not that ever happened before while reed making. I am going to really quickly set up my little desk here of the things that I typically use, and I will present to you guys each one and how they work. Everyone, so this is what a typical every single day at my desk for reed making. This is what it looks like every single day. And so yeah, it's pretty packed here. So I'm just spacing a couple things out for you today. Today, I am going to go over all the materials I typically use every single day for my reed making process throughout the week. I just put in some of my cane here to be soaked. I also have my oboe blanks here, which is great because I'm going to be scraping on them today. And I'm putting those there for 10 minutes, and then, I'm gonna be leaving them in for about 5 minutes today. And of course, I'm gonna be leaving this in for about 3 to 5 minutes. So that way it's not over soaked and actually it is not swelling up while you're also doing your reeds. So first things first, what I typically do is I usually take my mandrel. This is what's called a mandrel. If those oboists out there that don't know what this is called, it's a very beautiful tool. I like to have multiple of these because I end up losing these. So I usually use if I can read it here, Pisoni. This is the Pisoni mandrel. It's really beautiful. Honestly, everybody has their own preferences on mandrels. I just simply like to have a really nice shiny one, that kind of looks like a Harry Potter one, so it's kind of cool. A lot of oboists, for some reason, they don't really like land wheels, but for me personally, I think it does a way better job than just a normal standard student knife, which I'm going to show you really quick. These two knives are very different. Why? Because this one, it's more for professionalists. It's a great little knife that can just help you with your sharpening a lot, and of course your styles and just anything to do with reeds, honestly. And it's mine's a medium left-handed one. I don't know if you can see that. Let me see, yeah, medium left. This one is just representing the hardness of the actual knife and what hand you're dominant on for that. So I'm really dominant on my left hand. However, I do have reed knives that are actually also just standard. I mean, it doesn't really matter as long as, I mean, maybe it does nowadays, but before it really didn't matter. But now I guess they're naming them, and you can just choose like up on this list, whatever works best for you. I also use these wonderful just I don't even know how to pronounce this. Chiragui. I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing these names, but I will also list this in the comments as well so you can get yours as well. But this one is really nice. I actually love the blades on these. These are a little bit more sharper than the actual Landwell knives that I have. Just great because when you sharpen these knives, they're instantly sharp. While as for the Landwells, you kind of have to take a little bit more time sharpening them in order to get that wonderful fine sharpness in your knives. So yeah, those are the difference between the knives that I typically have. I never really use this one, but it's my first oboe knife, so I kind of just keep it. I got it from HB Oboe Reeds. I don't know if their website is still active, but I may or may not sell this one. But if you guys are looking for some oboe reed knives, I am selling two wonderful Landwell knives. They're just a standard knife, so it doesn't really matter what hand you use for them, and I'm going to be selling them for $50 each. If you would like the bundle is $100, so keep that in mind, and I will also put the link towards these as well in the comments. So before I usually get started, I like to use a touchpad and kind of just, sanitize my hands and making sure they're all nice and clean before starting the actual process. I'm also going to go through with you all the little gadgets I have up there. So for example, my staples. I know a lot of you guys are going to be asking me, oh, but that's the English horn staple. No, it's not. I know for a fact there is some that are English horn staples. These are just funky. Actually oboe staples, but when you wrap them, I can even show you how I wrap it as well. They become a little bit longer than just a normal standard staple. So there's definitely a difference between these two. Obviously, this one's a little longer. You can definitely tell. However, when I wrap the reeds, the same, measurements as in wrapping. However, this one is just longer, so I just need to be mindful that this one is just, I think, 2 inches longer than the actual normal standard staple. But yes, this is for oboes as well. We do happen to have different staples for different reasons. For the brass ones, it kind of makes a more darker tone, so I mainly use these ones for myself, so I don't really sell these ones because they are super expensive. I think they're $6 or $5 a piece. So I typically just use this for me. While as for my oboe students and of course my my oboe reed customers, they typically get the standard synthetic staple for the beginning oboe reeds, intermediate reeds, and also making your own oboe reeds. My professional oboe reeds, I typically use this wonderful cork styled oboe staple. So this is actually really great for the professional reeds that I typically use for myself and also for my students and also for my oboe reed customers. This one is really good for just, the same thing again, dark tone, making that oboe reed kind of vibrate and just having a wonderful tone into the reed. While as for this one is the same thing, however, this one can also be just a standard staple, so it doesn't really do much. So those are the 3 different types of staples. There's brass, there is synthetic, and there's cork. Now these ones are just a normal standard oboe staple shenanigan, so it's really, really great. Now what I'm going to go over is definitely, which I should have done earlier, but I did not, is definitely the sharpening tools that you would need for your reed knives. This one, my dad actually got me this one, so I don't remember where he got this one for me, but I know for a fact it should be on those normal standard stones for your knives. I will look it up and make sure to list it down below in the comments, but I use the 1000 grit one. This one's just a quicker way for me just to kind of have it, you know, sharpened really quickly, and of course to make sure that they're just more precise. Also the 400, I'm sorry if it's backwards, I don't know how to fix that on my end, I do apologize. However, there is the 400 grits on this one as well. This side doesn't really sharpen that much, so this one's more for like getting it super sharp, which is great because that's what we need. And of course there's just the medium standard sharpening system as well. I don't really personally like this one because I like more definition in my reed. If you see in this picture right here, that's with this side of sharpening your oboe reed knives. So this one's a great one. I also have another one I am going to show you as well. It's excellent. This works the exact same way as the 1000 grits that I showed you as well. And this one is very nice. It's actually a very standard stone for my oboists out there who are wanting a beautiful, just standard sharpening stone. I got the hard one because I definitely love my knives a little bit more sharper than the regular standard. So you can get this in medium, soft, and hard, I believe. I got this from Kansas City Stones, I believe, online. So this one's great. I personally like this one, and of course this one right here. I know you guys can't see it, so this one as well. I also have, which I'm going to bring out as well, it's a medium, you know, sharpening stone. It has two sides to it, so it has the medium and the fine part. So this one's great. I like it when, you know, my knife is already sharp, like super sharp, and I just want to just do a quick, you know, sharpening technique on, you know, just sharpening my knife really quickly. This one's great for that. I just typically don't use this when my knives are dull because obviously it's going to take a long time to sharpen your knives with this one. So that's why I typically get the harder stones in order to sharpen it really nicely. So yeah, this one's also good as well that I use. And then at the end of everything, I kind of just use this little leather, I don't know, sharpening supply. This one, you know, you kind of, after when you're done shaping and stuff, it has that really smooth texture towards it. I picked it here by accident because my knife was super sharp one time. What I just do is I kind of just make that little nice commotion where it's like up and down, side to side, basically. And it just mainly makes it more smoother. It's so it doesn't really do any harm for your oboe knives, which is great. So those are my 3 top sharpening stones for you today. Another great thing that I love to use, and it's probably one of my favorite companies of all time, Squirrely Stash. They have wonderful, beautiful we want to make sure it's FF Nylon thread. Why? Because for oboists, if we use normal thin thread, it's gonna break and the reed is not gonna stay where it is. So we really want to make sure it's double F nylon thread. We don't want it to be E nylon thread because I believe E nylon threads are for bassoons and we're not bassoon players. So yeah, and you can also get them in many different colors. I obviously have one each for a Taylor Swift album because Taylor Swift is my favorite artist. And I also got them in my personal colors as well for my company, Uniredia. Go check it out if you really want to be doing oboe reed lessons with me, and of course for me to be your oboe teacher and also for your oboe reed. So this one's a really great company for your oboe necessities. Squirrely Stash as well. Another great thing, I don't really typically use this that often. So this is a beeswax. Beeswax is really great for just, you know, making that thread more easily applicable when you kind of have to tie it, because sometimes it can be very loose into my reed making process. So yeah, I typically don't use this because my threads are very stable and I just, you know, I don't really need to. I love to use is actually nail polish. Sorry, this is just a clear nail polish coat. I even use this for my nails, but I don't use this one for my nails. I use this one for my reed making, and I use another one for my actual nails. Anyways, I get the Seche Vite one. I think I'm pronouncing it wrong again, so I do apologize. I will put the link for this as well in the comment area. This one is just a clear liquid that can kind of just make the oboe reeds, you know, sparkle and of course really smooth, and the color texture to be more clear after using the beeswax. And the beeswax kind of have a little bit of residue that you want to get rid of, so you kind of just use this on top of that coat. You don't necessarily need to use this if you don't want to, but I personally like it because I really am for presentation with my reeds, so I just use this as my common cleaner upper. Another great thing, I know a lot of oboists have multiple different styles with these, but for me personally, I kind of like to use my plaque or plaque, whatever the term is. I love this one. However, sometimes when I do make reeds, it kind of falls off a little bit. So this one's not really my favorite. It's just standard, like thin plaque. The one that I think is actually my favorite, it's this one. The pointiness for some reason kind of is just weird, but I love the roundness of this plaque because it keeps it in place. This one doesn't fall off as much as the one with the more pointy tip. This one's my favorite. This is the more standard plaque as well. And of course, there's two other ones that I have here. I usually lose a bunch of these, so I have extras. And another one, my personal favorite, I kind of keep it in this pouch, this nice pouch, because obviously it's my favorite one. Sometimes oboists don't really like the thickness of these plaques, but for some reason I do. It really makes it, and of course it's also pointy as well, so I put the pointy one down in the middle of the reed. These ones, I like the thickness. Why? Because when I make my reeds, I can really make it more defined with this type of plaque. And you really want to make sure that the type of plaque that you have resembles the type of reed that you truly want. And I noticed with this one, my tip, my heart, and my spine become more visible. They become more structured. So that's why I really like this one personally. So it's obviously in this wonderful pouch. So yeah, those are my plaque setup, or plaque, whichever one it's called. Now, another great thing before actually putting the plaque in is there is a cutting board that you could use for your oboe reeds, but I really love this guy. It's the Reeds and Stuff tip cutter. This one's great because obviously you have the measurements here, and of course you have this guy to kind of just put down, and you know, it's like a guillotine, so it works wonderfully for me. It's a lot more faster, and of course it's a lot more easier process than just using a little one of these guys. Only because I just don't want to cut my hands off. I typically use this guy. This one's more safer. It is also a lot more smoother to do that type of cutting. It actually cuts it in a second, so it's perfect. I will also put down the link for this guy as well. For the fun part of it all, I typically like to have my oboe reeds, which I'm going to take out right now, and of course my thread. So I only have two with me right now, just to kind of show you guys, you know, the process. I'm sorry, my cane. I said thread. I think I said thread. Anyways, so for my cane, I typically like to have the ears on, and I can show you what that looks like over here. This one has it, yes. I love the little ears. It's kind of fun to kind of just clip off personally. However, you don't necessarily have to have the ears on the oboe reeds. I know some oboists think it's a pain, so you can also get just the standard regular cane like this, which is much more easier for some oboists who are wanting to start out with this type of cane. Now, for my cane, I am also going to give you the list here. I typically like to have the Rigotti cane and, of course, the Lorraine oboe cane, because personally, I play on a Lorraine, so I want to make sure that I match with the aesthetic wise of my instrument. Standard Rigotti cane for my oboe students and of course my oboe reed customers on my website at Katarina Lukic Uniredia. So you can choose whichever cane you would like to prefer for your oboe reed when you go and hit purchase. Personally, for my oboe reeds that I make myself, I love the Lorraine cane. I think it's perfect for my oboe. I know a lot of people like to change up their cane, so there's multiple different canes out there. That being said, it's a wonderful drying pad. Now, I know a lot of you don't really use a drying pad, which is quite bad for your reeds. So please make sure to also get a drying pad for your oboe reeds, because after when you're done soaking them, we really just want to put them on here and have them straight up instead of down on the floor like this, because then they get moldy and they crack right away. That is perfect. I also have my reeds that I made in here already. So these are all the ones that I made personally, and tomorrow I am going to be testing out every single one of these. I also have my reeds from my company as well in here. So all my intermediate reeds are all the way up here, and my professional oboe reeds are also down here as well. It's a silk case. This one's beautiful. I got this for my birthday a while back. I usually put all my variegated thread here, and of course my bundles here for my students who are wanting to purchase reed bundles. So all sections are dedicated to each part of the reed making process that I have. So these are bundles for beginners. This is, and also professionals, because I use different thread for those. In here, which I'm going to be making some as well, I have mostly a lot in stock, as you saw. These will be all my beginner oboe reeds as well. And speaking of, this is also just, they're all in staples right now, or they're all in blanks right now, so I can obviously leave them in the case. I just have to make sure that they're not getting moldy. And yeah, so they're all good. I just made the set last week, so they should be good. So I always want to make sure to check my reeds before I sell them. And of course, before I forget, I typically use isopropyl alcohol. I will also put this in the link down below so that you guys can also have this for yourselves. I do it for my reeds, I do it for my oboe reed customers, and also I do it for my students before they use my reeds. I spray this before shipment. This actually helps with safety wise, and of course, just making sure that the reeds are clean. So this one is really safe for the reeds. You can also use mouthwash as long as you don't use the mouthwash before using it for your reeds. So we just don't want to have any contamination going on here. That is all that I have for you today. And I love making reeds for all my oboe students, all my oboe reed customers. That is what Uniredia is all about, is making music and doing what is great for yourself and of course your oboe. So thank you so much, and I can't wait to see you next oboe reed making series. Feel free to give this one a like and subscribe as well, so that way you are stay tuned to the next oboe reed making series, and of course for more oboe content. Thank you all. See you next time. Bye bye.